In March of 1965, the first U.S. Marines landed on the beaches of Da Nang, marking the beginning of a conflict that would last nearly a decade. The United States possessed the world's most sophisticated weaponry and formidable firepower, yet ultimately they withdrew. How did a superpower come to be unsuccessful against a small nation in Southeast Asia? The U.S. believed that victory could be achieved simply by eliminating a sufficient number of enemy troops. However, the Vietnamese guerrilla forces did not wage war in this conventional manner. They employed hit-and-run tactics, rapidly engaging and then retreating, blending into the civilian population in the dense jungle. The number of soldiers the U.S. managed to eliminate was ultimately insignificant, as Vietnam possessed the continuous capacity to replenish its forces. The dense jungle, swamps, rocky mountains, and torrential tropical rains rendered the U.S. military virtually blind on the battlefield. Helicopters, tanks, and modern American technology completely lost their advantage in this environment. Conversely, the Vietnamese forces, who were born and raised in this very land, fought as though they were seamlessly integrated with nature. The Ho Chi Minh Trail system spanned over 20,000 kilometers, weaving through dense mountains, caves, and even across the borders of Laos and Cambodia. Despite the U.S. dropping millions of tons of bombs, this supply route remained operational. It was the vital bloodline that enabled the North to continuously reinforce the battlefield in the South. The Americans fought for geopolitical objectives, yet the Vietnamese forces fought on their very homeland, for their families and for independence. This generated a resilience that the U.S. could not measure with statistics. In this conflict, the side that won the support of the people was ultimately the one who prevailed. The Tet Offensive of 1968 delivered a profound shock across the United States. Although the Vietnamese forces sustained significant military losses, politically, this was a major blow that eroded the American public's trust. For the first time, Americans saw that the conflict was far from nearly over, contrary to what their government had asserted. As the number of U.S. combat casualties escalated, the anti-war movement spread across the United States. Students protested, musicians composed songs, and television screens broadcasted the realities of the battlefield every night. Even returning soldiers spoke out against the conflict. The U.S. could not sustain the effort when its own people had withdrawn their support. In 1973, the U.S. signed the Paris Peace Accords and began withdrawing all military forces from Vietnam. 2 years later, the war concluded. This conflict proved that military might cannot supersede the will of a nation fighting for its freedom. The Vietnam War stands as a lesson for the entire world. A united nation that intimately understands its own land can overcome any superpower. If you would like us to continue this Vietnam War series, please comment with the topic you'd like to see next.